Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to work on Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana number 1 and number 2. And that translates as the upward facing intense stretch to the west side of the body pose. And before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed already, and to like, share and comment below. All these actions will contribute to YouTube's algorithm sharing this content so that more people who are searching for inspiration for their practice come across these videos. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. A good way to prepare for Paschimottanasana is by doing Uttanasana. So let's stand, take the feet as wide as the mat, make sure your feet are parallel, hands on the waist, inhale. Exhale, hinge forward, reaching forward to the floor, or if it's difficult for you to reach the floor, get your bricks and put your bricks underneath your hands. Initially, start with your spine straight. Lengthen the chest forward. So if you look forward to the front end of your mat, that will help you to lengthen your chest forward. In time, if you feel that you've got the capacity, you can go deeper. Perhaps the hands can reach out to the sides there on the floor as you bend the elbows out wide. Draw yourself further down. So a significant flexion in the hips, a mild flexion in the spine, but do work at straightening the knees. So you want to grip the kneecaps, work with the quadriceps, open the back of the knees, lengthen and broaden the back of the thighs. And if you think you can go further, perhaps catch behind the ankles, pull on the ankles, keep the elbows out wide so that the armpit chest can lengthen down. So lengthen the chest down and draw yourself into the legs a little more. But keep your knees straight. Slowly then we'll come out of the pose. Fingertips to the floor, lift the head up, hands to the waist, inhale and stand all the way up. We'll come down onto the floor and we'll do Paschimottanasana. So if you feel stiff, feel free to use a blanket underneath the buttocks so that potentially helps you come forward. So legs together. Sometimes it's helpful to draw the buttock flesh back, one buttock and then the other buttock, so that you're sitting more on the front of the sitting bones. But do be mindful, you're only drawing the buttock flesh back, you're not drawing it out. Press your thighs down, stretch your arms up, so this contributes to the length in the front body. So thighs down, chest up, inhale. Exhale, reach forward. If you can't manage to hold the outer feet, then take a belt and put the belt around the feet so that you can hold on to the belt. Again, reassert the length on the front body. Lift the sternum as you're pressing the thighs down. Inhale again. Exhale. If you can manage, you bend the elbows, you're pulling on the feet or pulling on the belt, lengthen your abdomen along the thighs. Bring yourself forward and down. And keep the elbows, if they are bending, keep them resisting away from the floor. Feed the upper arm bones back into the shoulder joints. Shoulder blades right down the back towards your hips. Go on opening the back of the thighs, the back of the knees. Slow your breath down, particularly the exhalations. And then you can slowly lift the head up, lift the torso up, straighten the elbows, and let go of the grip of the feet and come to sit up. Now, as we move to an expression of Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana, we're going to bring a chair. So let's get that in place. If you feel stiff, have a blanket to sit on. Otherwise, you can sit on the floor, but let's work with the heels up on the seat. Now you can start with the feet hip width. It does make it feel a little more accessible. But note, when you lift your legs up like this, does the pelvis pull you backwards? The pelvis will want to tilt back, which may cause the back to collapse and the chest to collapse. So do what you can to roll the pelvis forward. It can be helpful to hold your ankles or hold the seat. Pull on that as you roll the pelvis forward So you can feel you're on the sitting bones, you're not coming back to the tailbone. So pelvis rolls forward, lumbar spine lifts and moves in. Lift the chest up there. If it's difficult for you to hold the chair or hold the outer feet, then get your belt and use that to hold on to. But you're pressing the thighs down, the head of the thighs, to rebound the chest up. Notice the length between the breastbone and the navel. See if you can maintain that length as you come into a forward bend. Inhale. Exhale. Bend the elbows and lengthen your chest forward. Sometimes it's helpful to keep looking forward rather than looking down. So that helps us lengthen the breastbone forward. Then finally the head can come in line with the rest of the back. Open the back of the knees. The temptation here will be to buckle the knees and bend them. So really work to straighten your legs. Elbows are up, they're not down. If the elbows are down, the armpit chest can't lengthen as much. So lift the elbows, lengthen the armpit chest as well as the sternum forward. And then raise the head up, come to sit up, and you can take your legs off the chair. So that's giving us an idea of having the legs elevated. When we're coming into the full expression of this pose, we're actually wanting to be balanced on the pelvis and have the legs coming up more to the vertical. So the balancing aspect can be challenging, but let's have a go. And remember, if you need to use your belt, use your belt. We'll move the chair out of the way. Now, I would suggest you don't sit on a blanket for this because that's not going to help you and it may make you feel a bit more wobbly. So just the sturdiness of the floor and your yoga mat. Bending the knees, you reach your hands to catch the outer feet, and we'll just play with our balance on the sit bone. So you've got to lean back enough that you can lift your heels off the floor. See what that feels like. And then perhaps you can bring your legs more towards a straight position and just observe the positioning of the pelvis there, that you're not letting yourself roll backwards. And eventually we want to see if we can bring the legs towards us and us towards the legs. So again, you can use a belt if need be. Bend the elbows, draw the legs towards you and draw yourself towards the legs. And you might find you're getting a little bit closer, but then you lose your balance. So try again. And then we'll come out. So it is a challenging pose. There's another grip that we can work with the hands, which could be helpful, but it's really only helpful for those who are supple. So often in Paschimottanasana, if you're supple, you can reach so that one hand catches one wrist and the feet are pressing against that. So that can be a helpful positioning when it comes to Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana like this. Or as I said, you can use a belt. So let's go. Bend the knees, catch the outer feet, find your balance. Stretch the legs up. If you think you can go further, maybe you can catch the heels, hold on to the heels, bring yourself in. If you think you can go further, you could go for your grip, whether it's around the feet or maybe around behind the ankles. Catch your wrist with one hand and then see if you can bring yourself into the legs and bring the legs into you. And then we release, come down and have a rest in simple cross legs. So oftentimes with a pose like this, particularly when we're first approaching it, there's a lot of trial and error. We might collapse, we might fall out of the pose, balancing might be tricky, straightening the knees might be tricky, but we try again, we apply ourselves again. And I often say when it comes to challenging poses, we can have this touch and go practice. So we touch on the pose, we come out, we take a few breaths. We touch on the pose, we come out, we take a few breaths. Let's go again. And if you are holding behind the ankles with your hands, then maybe you try for behind the soles of the feet, or again, if you're using the belt, use the belt. So you can hold the outer feet, see if you can stay balanced there. If it's really problematic, take yourself to the wall so that your upper back can perhaps lean into the wall so you know you're not going to fall backwards. Stretch the legs up. As you start to bring the legs closer to you, perhaps you can clasp the hands. Maybe you need to bend the knees to get there. Press the feet up into the hands. Trying to lengthen the abdomen along the thighs as you pull the legs towards the body and the head towards the legs. And then we can come down. And again, cross legs, bring the opposite shin in front. And just allow the upper thighs to relax. Now, the other variation of Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana involves lying on our back and taking the legs so that they're horizontal. Basically, it's this posture, but it's just flipped upside down. What can be helpful is using a bolster under the back of the pelvis. Let's bring our bolster in. So I have turned myself around so that the cameras can get this from another perspective. We'll start with the bolster down next to us as you lie on your back. So you come to lie on your back, you've got the bolster there. You're going to want to bring the bolster in underneath the back of the hips. So you can lift your hips, maybe even lift your heels up so you can get your bolster in place. Then we're lifting the feet up off the floor, bringing the knees towards the chest. We're exploring this capacity to flex in the hips. Thighs are coming parallel to the floor. Now that's usually pretty accessible for most of us with the knees bent. We're exploring, as I said, this capacity to flex the hips. There's a gentle flexion in the lower back, but then we want to straighten the legs. Commonly when we go to straighten the legs, we get to this point where the hamstrings start to really pull and then the thighs want to pull away from the body. Our job is to try and keep our deep hip flexion. Whether you need to hold the belt around the feet or whether you can hold the feet with your hands, pull the feet towards the floor and open the back of the knees. Ideally, the legs are coming horizontal and you're pressing the head of the thighs back away from the chest to contribute to the elongation of the abdomen. Not looking for the floor with the toes. You're hovering. And then you can release and we'll bring the feet back to the floor, remove the bolster, let the back rest down for a moment, and we'll try without the bolster. If you struggle, then you can bring the bolster back in again. When we're doing this, we want to try and balance on the middle back. But initially, it can be helpful to roll over more towards the upper back, almost like you're trying to do a plow pose, but you're not rolling the shoulders under. Eventually, then you want to pull the hips back and bring the legs more and more parallel. So I'm going to work with that. I'll just move the bolster out of the way. Again, we're on our back and we can explore hip flexion. You can use your hands around the shins, draw the knees more and more towards the chest, and you'll feel already that the tailbone starts to curl up, back of the pelvis wants to lift off the floor. That has to happen when we come into Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana. Legs stretch straight. You can use your belt or hold the feet. But then we want to lift the hips up and take the legs over. Now, for some people, it's difficult to do straight away like that. So, as I said before, almost as if you're trying to come into plow pose, you'll use your hands on the floor, inhale, exhale, kick the legs up and over. So initially you can start with the feet on the floor. And then you can reach your hands, hold the outer feet or hold the heels, the ankles. Use your belt if you need, but then you've got to drag the feet in along the floor towards the head as you pull your hips back and lengthen the abdomen. Maybe the feet can float off the floor as you press the head of the thighs away from the chest. Open the back of the knees, open the back of the thighs. Keep the knees straight. And then eventually perhaps you lift the head, bring the forehead to the shins. And then release. And bring your feet down. Relax the arms, relax the legs. So as I said, if it is difficult, use the bolster under the back of the hips. That can be very supportive and it can keep you balanced there. There's a couple of ways of coming into it. One is taking the legs over like a plow pose, which is what I just demonstrated, and then sliding the feet along the floor and descending the hips. And the other is starting with the legs up from the vertical, and this is if you can control your movement. So strong abdominals, you take your legs up and over, you can press the hands to the floor and bring your legs over with the feet. Perhaps they initially touch the floor to get your bearings, but then see if you can, when you're lowering your hips, you're pulling your hips back, the feet will float. Then can you take your clasp? You might clasp one wrist with the other hand, and that might be behind the soles of the feet, or it might be behind the ankles. But you're drawing your hips back and pressing the thigh bones up towards the ceiling to open the back of the knees. Lengthen the abdomen. See if you can let go of any hardening, shortening, contracting of the abdomen as you pull your hips back. Draw the sit bones back away from the heels. Then perhaps you can lift your forehead to your shins and then release and rest. If you enjoyed practicing with me, I invite you to check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au, with over 430 full-length classes, and I add a new class every week. There are a lot of classes to choose from. You can start your membership with a 7-day free trial. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. For more in-depth teaching, check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au. The link is in the description box below.